Hi everyone, welcome to podcast number 9. Is it Ayse? I've lost count.
Yeah, it's number 9.
Number 9.
Wow.
I'm
9
so,
already.
Number 9 already. I'm so chuffed about our next guest. Some of you may know him because he's kind of well known in his arena, but we'll get to that in a minute. His name's Ralf Purcell, and Ralf was probably, as far as I can remember, the first person I met here in North Cyprus that I didn't know previously, and that just became a kindred spirit from the off. He has been a stepping stone into a new culture. He has been a friend, a critical voice sometimes, always speaks from the heart, always has the best interest for the people around him. I think he's also a real example to us all in living life and living life on our own terms. He's not from North Cyprus originally, and we're going to talk about his story a little bit, how he ended up here. Ralf, I want to welcome you to the Empowered Living podcast. I'm just chuffed to have you here, mate. Fantastic.
Thanks very much for that lovely introduction as well.
Oh man, I love you so much.
I'm really pleased to be here.
Do you know what? This is very special, really, because one of the things people said to me while I've been, friends from England and Amy, I said, I've got 2 friends. I'm done. I've got Ayse and I've got Ralf, and I'm done. If I get any more good friends, which I have, so not to upset anyone, is a bonus. But to have 2 people like you guys in my life has been a godsend. So I love you guys. Ayse, over to you.
Ralf, and in fact, it was you that introduced me to Erkan. So this wouldn't have, even been birthed if you weren't here, to be honest. Yeah. So I would like to thank you for that as well. But you've been such an inspiration on many things, on keeping personal sovereignty. I mean, the whole point of our podcast is empowered living, and you really are doing that. So we wanted to really hear it from the horse's mouth, and see, get some advice and share with receptive souls, as you always say.
Yeah. I think we've known each other for probably the better part of 15 years, Ayse, yeah?
Yeah, Ralf, you poor thing.
No, not poor at all, not poor. I'm honoured to have met you and to have been introduced to you way back then, and we've always kept contact and opened each other up on our journeys, haven't we, really?
Absolutely, Ralf. And you really have. You've been one of my guiding souls. You really have. You've been a big part of my own personal awakening, just with sharing all the information that you do and a different perspective,
Yeah.
So I'd really like to thank you, Ralf. But tell us a bit about your history, Ralf. I mean, you were ex-military. I mean, you've been in that institutionalised sort of upbringing. And, I mean, how is it, Ralf, that you sort of came out of all that? What was it that really, because military is really, they're hardcore.
Yeah, well, I watched a film by Erich von Däniken called Chariot of the Gods. And I watched it on in the camp cinema, in the Forces cinema. And I just came out of that cinema and thought, there is definitely something else. All of these things that I'd not seen in my previous life because of being conditioned and institutionalized with education and school and then in the military, you don't sort of get exposed to that kind of information. So watching that film of all of these ancient mysteries around the world, and Erich von Däniken did extensive expeditions and experiments all over the world, showing you all of these things that even to this day, there are no explanations who provided them, who made them, and what their functions were. And I came out of the cinema and I thought, yeah, there's definitely something else bigger than us. And I started to then do some research and read books, and this was before the days of the internet. And I just knew then that, you know, the way life is shown to us and the way that we're taught and conditioned to believe things is not the way forward for humanity, because humanity have tried everything else and nothing seems to be working. So it's time for a change and to try something else. And I believe that we are now in the midst of the mass awakening of humanity, and things are going to change very soon. In fact, they are changing. We all know that they're changing already, but we just need to get to that critical mass of more than 50% of the inhabitants of Earth who are awake, and the scales and the balance will be tipped, and we'll go towards a new world, a new reality, and perhaps to the fourth and fifth dimension.
Joe, one of the things, Ralph, I mean, I really appreciate you sharing that, is one of the things that you've epitomised for me in terms of empowered living is you are really living a life on your own terms. You don't really mix with people you don't get on with. You don't have to work with people you don't, you know, you don't kind of see eye to eye. You're always willing to enlighten people to what they might not be aware of. And there's a humility and a humbleness in the way you engage people, which I think is, I don't know, maybe it's come with maturity, because when we're younger, we think we can bend everything to our will, and we think it's about force and volume and, you know, all that stuff. But there's a gentleness in the way you present, and inside of all of that, every now and again, I see the frustration. And you know, and I go, come on, Ralph, calm down, you know, and you're like, and we all get it. I mean, we've all been there, especially what's happened over the last couple of years. You know, how would you comment to that? And obviously, I've only seen you in context of being in North Cyprus. I don't know what you might have been like back in the day in England, and things are different here. And I think it's changing me. I'm sure Ayse could give her stories about it's changing her. Is, you know, how's North Cyprus treated you, and how have you engaged with the wider population?
Well, you know, North Cyprus is just a unique place to be. The people are so lovely, but they're also too laid back, and they just let things wash over them. You can explain things to people and tell things to people, and I know it's something I have to work on. Once I've explained once or twice, and then explained the third time, then my patience starts to become a little bit threadbare, and I do get a little bit forceful with it. That's something I have to work on. But yeah, I do tend to stay and mix with people, like-minded souls. You know, when you meet, our energies, they either mix and blend with each other nicely, or they get rebuffed. And it's those kind of people. You know, you felt it yourself. You meet someone, and for the very first time, so, something, don't like something about him. That's your own energy telling you, your intuition, if you want to call it, your gut reaction, or your energy being bounced back off the energy of the person you're meeting, because there's something not quite right with that person. And then on the other hand, you meet someone for the very first time, point in question, you and I, as soon as we met, we just became firm buddies. And, you know, our energies blended. There was nothing underhand or hidden in you, nothing in me. So it was a melding from the heart. And the same with Ayse the very first time I met her. You know, there are other people like that you meet and you blend with. And then there are others that, you know, I would never, ever be rude or ignore anyone. Even if I didn't like them, I would always say hello. But that's it. I don't want anything to do with that person, because they're not on the same level. They're not on the same frequency, if you like, or they're not in the same dimension even as, you know, like we are, and the way we think about things and the way that we see and feel things in our world.
There's something I didn't want to walk over. There's something you said about Ayse and you, and I think I've heard you talk about it, and I acknowledged it today. I don't like the term red pilled, as in you can't red pill someone, and we know that. But you know, in all, I think that's a real testimony to not giving up, even when you want to give up sharing ideas with people, because you never know what might just tip them over. And I remember listening to someone speaking on these subjects years ago. He said, maybe 40 years I've red pilled 2 people, because you don't always know what's going to make the difference. You don't know which little straw is going to break the camel's back, or how you've added to an accumulation of information that can make a difference. And I think when you have a passion for truth and finding out what is close to the reality. I don't use the word truth that often. I know it's commonly understood, but I look at it as like, what's the reality here that can be as unfiltered, because we all have unique perspectives and our interpretations, and sharing that knowledge with people is not always welcome. It's not always right for them at that time. But with Empowered Living, just so our audience know, we've got our first offline meeting, that means meeting in person, on Friday, this Friday. And I've been thinking about the meeting, and I thought, I don't want to have it as a hierarchical. I don't want to have it as a, there's going to be minutes and there's going to be, accountabilities and all that. I don't want to do all that, but I do want it to be a value. And I think the value could come from the common unity of the group that gets together and say, well, we all got a certain understanding of what's going on. How can we forward the situation the best we can? And I know the 3 of us have all been involved with, KKTC pandemic, which got quite, I don't know how you want to describe it, but it just felt like we weren't achieving much, and it was all taking a lot of effort. And I don't want to insult anybody or anything like that. It's just, I think it was very difficult what we were trying to do. So what would your hopes be for, say, engaging at a wider level of beyond, say, just personal identity and personal relationships?
That question's of me, yeah?
Yeah, and Ayse as well. I think it's a good question for all 3 of us.
You can only invite people to come. You can only impart knowledge to them. It is up to them if they want to take that knowledge, and even if they want to come along and participate in the meetings. We can't force anyone. It was the same with the KKTC pandemic. We started off really, really well, and the numbers started to build, and then all of a sudden we stagnated, and all we ever saw were the same faces and the same people who were all awake and aware, and in their own little way they were doing what they could to enlighten and wake other people up. But it just, in North Cyprus, as I said, they're so laid back, they're just prepared to let things go as they are. And it was a shame. But I know that the movement's still ongoing, but I don't really think that they've made any more headway with things.
Yeah, so I'm not that up on it. I mean, the other thing I was going to say is allowing people to spontaneously connect. And I mean, part of Empowered Living is people finding people they have common ground with, an alignment and similar interests, and go do stuff. Whether that's go and grow some food, discuss, off-grid living, art, history, all those kind of things. Ayse, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the spiritual journey, isn't it? All of it. So it's just nice to share it with people who are of the same, way of thinking, and we can help each other. I mean, I know at the minute my journey is a bit about self-healing and doing a lot of self-work. But it's great to have, people that have been there, done that, being able to say, well, look, Ayse, why don't you try this, So it's nice to have that community-ness. I mean, and everything does start within. Even the whole questioning that we were talking about, it's that initial questioning that leads you to the research, and then that research that leads you to, what's actually really going on, the truth. And then from there, it's just sharing that with everybody. And it's such a beautiful thing, because then you get out of that low frequency, what all these elites have been trying to keep us in, It is literally, sort of opening you up to the reality of who we really, really are. So
Yeah,
it's all part of something. But you know, this heat. I was saying about my healing journey at the minute, which I'm doing a bit of a diary, but I'll release it, I think, once I've achieved what I want to achieve, and I will achieve it because I put it in my mind. But I was going to ask Ralf about, if you remember, Erkan, we were discussing about chlorine dioxide solution. Because they've actually told me to use this, Ralf, and the irony is I started using it and Em had already been using it, and I said to him, well, where did you get this stuff from? Because I went to a bioresonance therapist who said to me, you should definitely be using this. And he said, oh yeah, it's Ralf. I said, oh my God, Ralf, how was it I didn't hear of this type thing? But Ralf, how did you come about chlorine dioxide solution? Now, there you go. Number 1 and 2. You're making it up yourself. That's brilliant.
We have to talk about it, because this, buying it already made, buying the sodium chlorides and buying the hydrochloric acid in this form is quite expensive. And because it's already made up, it doesn't have a really long shelf life. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to order the raw material. So it'll be coming in powder form, and then we can make our own. So how did I get into it? I was reading a post about a guy called Jim Humboldt, who was a missionary. I know that you don't think I am, but I do read. And he's a missionary, and he went to Africa to do mission, and obviously to spread the gospel. And a lot of people in Africa had come down with malaria, and he was obviously horrified because people were dying. He got no medication whatsoever except for water purification tablets in the form of hydrochloric acid and the NCLO2. And he just thought, right, well, I'll sterilize some water and I'll use this and give it to the people. And they started giving them this water that they'd purified with the NaClO2, and they started to heal. Now, the tribes and the villages out there, the witch doctors, because they're still the witch doctors, they were very, very suspicious. And if you hurt any of their people, they will kill you. And they won't allow any Western medicines or anything like that. So he had to be very sort of covert in the way he was doing it. But then when they started to see the results that he was achieving by giving these people drinking water with HCl and ClO2 in it, and they started to heal and 100% cured all of these people, they were then welcomed with open arms by the witch doctors and the medicine men and all the rest of it. And then this was in the 60s, and he started to think, well, how can this be that this proprietary drug for sterilizing water can heal malaria? So he started to do some research on it. I don't know if you do know, but it was first discovered in 1814 by Sir Humphrey Davey. And since then, it's been used in major industries, in the food industry for sterilizing and cleaning food. It's been used in chemical labs for sterilization and disinfection. And it's actually got a gold standard because it's not a carcinogenic to human tissue if it's used correctly. And then other people, he produced some books and some videos, And then other people started to get involved in it, like Andreas Klacker, who incidentally in 2020 and 21 cured hundreds of thousands of people in South America in the Spanish-speaking dialect of COVID. But it's being suppressed by the major media because it's cheap. And of course, Big Pharma, they're just worried about selling their medications and not actually curing people. But, you know, I have some wonderful information that I'd love to share with anyone about it. Videos, there's on Telegram, there are chat groups, there's videos of telling you how to take it. And it is quite intricate to start off. You can't just start taking it because it could make you ill. It could make you feel nauseous or make you actually vomit, or it could give you a bad dose of diarrhea. So when you start, you have to start with fractions. So you have to activate the MMS or the universal antidote to make it then into chlorine dioxide. And what you have to do is you have to do 1 drop of each, and then you let it rest for 60 minutes so that it activates. You then put it into 120 mils of water. And on the first day, and you throw the other 90 away, and you do that every hour or for 8 hours. Second day, you do half a drop, which again is 1 drop of each, 120 mils of water. You then drink 60 mils and throw 60 mils away. It was okay here because Sarah and I did it together, so we didn't have too much wastage. The third day, you do your...
Twice the one there.
Yeah. On the third day, you do 3/4 of a drop, which is basically you drink 90 mils of water. And then on the fourth day, you drink the whole 120 mils. On the fifth day, you then start the first protocol. And the first protocol is Protocol 1000, which again, you're then to 3 drops in 120 mils of water, which again you drink 8 times a day. And it should be roughly every hour. But if you're going to eat, or if you're taking any medication, you then wait an hour. But you have to do it 8 times during a day. And you continue that for 21 days. And after 21 days, you go on to the maintenance, which is done by weight. And for my age and my weight, I have to take 8 drops a day. So I activate 8 drops and 8 drops, drink it, that's it. And I'll continue doing that because it protects against COVID. It also helps to detox for any of these nasty little squiggly worms and things that are in our body that come out in the food. And you just continue it. I'm actually working with a dog at the moment that has cancer because it cures cancer. And this dog, unfortunately, has got a rather large cancerous growth on its nose. So we're treating this dog with it as well. So fingers crossed, we're going to cure Nora.
Just a quick correction, Ralf. You said 60 minutes earlier, but you mean 60 seconds, don't you, when you mix?
Sorry, 60 seconds. Yes.
Yeah, no, just so. Yeah, I mean, we'll put some links below this video. I think this won't be on YouTube now. I think this will be an Odyssey video. As soon as you're saying you're curing cancer, I think that would get us off YouTube straight away. What difference has it made to you? I mean, you look well. You look.
I feel good. Since I've been doing it, which is probably now a couple of months, I've not suffered any sniffles or any colds, and I felt good in myself. I had some what are called ganglions in my hand coming, which are just growths on tendons or ligaments. And they were obviously going to the gym and using weights and all the rest of it, quite painful in the hands, but they've started to recede. And the only way modern medicine can get rid of those is by invasive surgery, going in, cutting them out. And I don't really want to do that. So, but it can also be used.
How would you explain in your understanding, and look, there is a disclaimer here, guys, this isn't health advice. The whole point of
it's not. No.
is you find it out for yourself, you take responsibility for your life. We're just sharing, bringing guests to you to discuss what they're doing and what might be working and what might not be working. So in terms of how this works, would you be happy to explain it in the way you understand it?
The way I understand it is because it kills all known bacteria and it disinfects anything that is in your body, it will disinfect and destroy, and then it comes out by natural evacuation, either in your urine or in your feces. So if you are ill with anything, and you have to tie this treatment in with a detox program. You have to detox, and then you have to stop putting any rubbish, crap, into your diet, you know, like carbonated drinks, too much alcohol, processed foods. You have to stop putting those in. I was watching a video this morning of some electron microscopic work where people were taking food and in view of the camera, just cutting it, putting it under the electron microscope and letting people see what is actually in the food. Under your nails, a piece of sellotape on someone's forehead, and then took it off and put it down and look at all of the little bugs and things that are all over you. Well, this preparation, if it's done correctly, whether you're taking it internally or whether you're putting it topically on wounds, it kills all known bacteria. And that's why it is the gold standard for the major food industry and water industry. For sterilisation, bacteria. I mean, it's actually got coverage for the BLS 2 and 3 laboratories worldwide, which are the ones that deal with the deadliest pathogens in the world. But all of this is hidden to us. Hidden to us. People really need to go online and go to the links that we put in afterwards to the universal medication and watch the videos to get a full understanding. It's all free, and there are also PDF books to download, which is again free, so that you can read and make your own mind up how to do it, understand what is going to be happening to your body, because it's very intricate. And how is the best way to get the best result out of it and make you feel well? Because if your body is in its natural state and it's not fighting against foreign material that's not meant to be in there, it can concentrate on keeping you healthy and well and repair any damage. And that's what I feel like.
And was it you know, Donald Trump mentioned something about bleach and he was ridiculed for it. I know you're a little bit of a Trumpite, so I mean not a major Trumpite, but you are a little bit of a Trumpite. And this is the thing I want to share as well, guys. I promise you, Ralf and I don't see eye to eye. There's a lot we don't agree on, right? And I find those non-alignments actually quite fun with Ralf, because we make it fun. You know, like he'll argue a point and I'll argue with him, and we enjoy it. We don't make it. So I think overall, our contextual and our alignment is so strong that these little overlaps can be fun. So you know, so Trump, I think back in the day, about 18 months ago, said something about, isn't there some bleach people could take? And it was just. Was that what he was talking about, do you think? Yeah,
that's exactly what he was talking about. And he brought it back into the public domain, because when he was talking about COVID cures, and he said, and he looked at his doctor, the woman and Fauci, and said, and I also hear that there's a special bleach that you can use to get rid of COVID, and you can use it as an IV. For that, he was ridiculed, he was vilified, and he was made fun of, but the man was absolutely 100% correct. And yes, I am a Trumper, and I do hope that everything that I've been told and shown about Donald Trump is in fact true, and he is helping to awaken people up to their own sovereignty and what can be done and what can't be done. Because that's what I think he's about. And also other things that we've discussed.
Yeah. Okay.
He also had a book that he was advertising called Home Doctor.
Yes, that's right.
I was really interested about that book because obviously all these little sort of under the table little hints that, because he speaks in code, doesn't he?
He does.
So I
does.
wanted to purchase that book. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's literally Home Doctor is the name of it. So he's basically telling us, take charge of your own health now, because this Western medicine is not doing anything for anybody. I mean, even just looking at the title, I haven't even read the book, So he gives us all these codes, and it's so true.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to break in a sec. Got a couple of minutes and we'll break. But I know before we started the show, I asked you what you want to talk about. You said music, and that's another thing that you and I don't agree much on. But we were out Saturday night, and you were DJing, and I have this criticism of house music. I say, well, it's just noise, isn't it? And then we went out, and Ralph's playing. I was actually like this. He goes, it's just noise, isn't it? And I'm like really laughing because that's all music is, really, isn't it? It's just noise. And so for you, music is, you're not just a passionate listener of music. Tell us exactly your relationship. You're DJing. You've been promoting events back in the day. So do you want to just give us that intro, and then we'll break and come back to digging a bit more.
All right. Well, I started off my love of music in the 70s when I used to work with a guy called Jason, who was a mobile disco, and he used to come to the youth club. I was, 14, 15, and I started to work with him with the little 7-inch singles, and it was put the record on, okay, the next record is so-and-so, so-and-so, and then play it, yeah? And when I joined the army, I had music, and it was Motown soul and the sound of Philadelphia and Barry White and the Unlimited soul and all of that kind of music, and northern soul. When I was in England, we used to drive from where I lived in Cannock in Staffordshire to Wigan to go and dance with talcum powder on the floor and northern soul,
shuffling
and
around.
like that. Yeah, I kept sort of like that up in the army. When we had squadron dues, I used to play music, but it was nothing like DJs today, where it's mixing and digital. It was just like, one record player, this is so-and-so, a request for such and such, happy birthday, put a record on. When I left the army, and after I had my awakening and I left the army, I got involved in the musical entertainment industry. And I set up a company in UK that worked for EMI and Island Universal, Sony, Polydor, promoting musical entertainment events. And I did it myself. And the DJs then were the guys with the 2 decks, 2 Technics 1210s and a mixer. And they were making music by mixing 2 records together. And I thought, wow, this looks like fun. And I just started watching, started learning, bought some decks, bought a mixer, bought speakers, but it's really hard. You have to develop your ear to be able to do it. And it just moved on from there. And then I used to DJ all around the UK. When I came here, there wasn't that kind of events because Cyprus is 50 years behind the rest of Europe. So, they're all into their techno and trance and whatever, but not house music. So done a little bit of educating there. And on Saturday, I hope I educated a few more people with all the different noises and sounds, done in continuous beats, repetitive beats and whatever. And people seem to like it.
I'm going to come to that. I'm going to have to stop us for a sec. We're going to take a wee little break, and we'll get more into music right after this. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Cheers.
Yeah, tunes, tracks and tunes.
Okay, Ron, we're back. This is part 2 of our conversation with Ralf Purcell. We've covered some interesting ideas around health and a little bit about Trump. We got into music, and I think one of the things when I think of Ralf, I think you know, because every time we go out for a walk with the dogs or we drive somewhere, there's this music playing that he's usually playing. I'm usually like, can you turn down a bit? Anyway, no, joking, right? But anyway, I do, don't I? But the thing is, Ralf, I mean, music brings us alive. I mean, music is energy. There's a lot more to it. And I think music has been messed around with a lot. I mean, for me now, what I noticed in a lot of modern day R&B and if you like, what you could call popular music, is it grates me. And I know they changed the frequencies, the way music was recorded a while back. You know, and I love music that has real instruments and recorded without all the technology in the way as much as possible. I mean, having said that, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, as much as possible, I mean, analog recorded, old recordings, vinyl, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, look, you have a, I mean, I've seen your equipment. I mean, there's, and you show me some charts about not just beats per minute, but kind of, what would you call it?
Harmonies, frequencies.
Yeah, the harmonies and the chords.
Keys. Yeah, the keys.
So yeah, the keys, and I didn't see anything like that. And I used to DJ when I was younger, back in the day, SL 1200s and mixing decks and all that stuff. Yeah. So I mean, so music is energy, and garbage in, garbage out. So there's a lot of, I'd say, there's a lot of really damaging music out there. I'm not like a judgment on it. Like, I'm not trying to tell people what you listen to, but I don't mean it from like do you like the music or not? I'm talking about what that music is doing to us at an energistic level. We went to, on Sunday, Ayşe, as you know, went to the Ludogina Festival, and we got there and they were playing like R&B, and I said to people I was with, I said, like, that's demonic, that's satanic music. The rhythms and the echo and it just sounds demonic to me. It doesn't sound, you know, it sounds angsty. I mean, I don't know what you'd want to say to that, but I mean, I'm sure you could say a lot.
What I'd like to say is, if you get a guitar and you put a guitar down, untune a guitar and put it down in a room, any guitar, it retunes itself, and it will retune itself to 432 hertz. Did you know that?
No.
In the 50s, I believe it was the 50s, don't quote me, but Rothschild had the music changed from a natural 432 hertz to 440 hertz. Now, 432 hertz is your heart chakra. 440 is your head chakra. So yeah, the music, whatever music it is, it will make you feel a certain way. So if you're having nice heart music played, it will warm your heart, it makes you feel good. If you're having head music played, it makes you think of things. And these things like the gangsters are going to cap you, or my bitch, or this about talking about female anatomies and all the rest of it, it is demonic, satanic. And I don't go there. I don't like it. And a lot of the pop stars, as we know, I'm not talking conspiracies, but as we know, a lot of the film stars, they all produce this music for the music industry because it's all about the money. It's not about making people feel good and giving people good experiences. It's just about getting money.
See, I challenge you on that. I don't think it is about money. I think they've already got all the money, and they own the music industry. They own the money systems. I think it's about corruption. I think it's about corrupting our youth.
It's all, yeah.
Yeah, those, you know, like you said, popping a cap in your arse and owning the whatever it is, you know, Jimmy Bob and all that stuff. It's kind of, you just listen to it. It's like, you know, I remember a while back, my kids were listening to this song like 16 shots, you know, like, and it's like bang, 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 you know, it's all violence and I'm going to get my own back on you, or you can have my arse and all that stuff. And I'm like, why can't we just listen to a nice tune and feel kind of happy?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
It's hilarious.
But,
it's really
but
not.
again, if you research, it's all about the money. Just like Big Pharma want all the money from their medications, the music industry want their money for the music, and that's why they do.
What I mean is, I think I think money's a byproduct. What I'm getting at is there's other, you know, there's other agendas at play. It's not just like they're just trying to make loads of money. Is they
I
are
think
there's a
ultimately
corruption.
what you're trying to say is that, you know, it's keeping ourselves from ourselves. It comes again to what Ralph's saying.
Yeah.
Where it should be our heart chakra, and realising who we really are and resonating with that. It's keeping you in your head, so you're always thinking, and you're always, consumerism, you're always needing something, wanting something. You know, it is, isn't it? It's a form of hypnotism, really, and mind control.
Listen, anyway, years ago, I had an old turntable in the basement, and I went and took it out, and I put it on. I played the girls some vinyl, my daughters. This is about a while back. And they both come out and they just started dancing and grooving, and the movement of their body was fluid, and it was different. I had not seen them dance to music like that, and I thought it was shockingly stark. Like even if you watch some of the, I mean, like if you look at twerking and the body movements that go with some of this music, it's that music expression in bodily form. And it does, like, the way I describe it, satanic. It looks
debased. It's debased, mate.
It's debasing. Yes, it is. So for you, music, and I know this is for you, but for our audience, it's about love. It's about connection. It's about instilling
feelings,
good vibes, and
feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions. And even if you look or listen to Tchaikovsky, the 1812th Overture. And if you know about the 1812th Overture, it was when the French attacked the Russians. The Russians were vastly outnumbered, so they retreated. And in their retreat, they burned all the fields and they ransacked all of their own properties to ensure that the advancing French army had got nothing. And then when winter arrived, the French were not equipped to deal with the Russian winter, and they failed. And you know the Russian national anthem, when it starts to peel out, and the sounds of it just brings on a wonderful feeling of victory and over evil, because the French attacking them was evil. You know, classical music's wonderful, but all music can be reproduced whether you play a real instrument or whether you use digital synths. It's all the same, because at the end of the day, it's someone clicking a string with a nail or with a bow, and in digital, it's exactly the same. But vinyl and analog music does sound so much better and so much richer. But, you know, the digital's the way forward, I'm afraid. And we'll have.
Well, I was having this conversation because I was an audiophile from about age of 14 to not long ago, like a long time audiophile, been into a lot of top end. I've had very high end equipment, and someone said to me, "Oh, well, live is always better." I said, "Look, live music is unbeatable. You just can't beat it. But it doesn't mean the quality of the music's good. It just means it's live. And there is a quality in live performance that, you know, it's very hard to replicate. But there is also a way of listening to music and getting closer to the, in my opinion, to the instrument. Which with electronic music, the instrument is ones and zeros. So it's a different. I'm not knocking that, and there'd be many people could argue with me. But if you want to hear a bow or a drum or a snare recorded and reproduced, then you're listening to an actual physical instrument or a voice. You know, a voice. You know, I've listened to music where I can actually picture the movement of the people. You can almost hear them breathing because the quality of the recording is getting you. And I think that's something I'm very interested in. You know, we talked about truth earlier, Ayse, didn't we? And we said it in the shows. I'm more interested in reality, like how close to the reality of the situation. Given that, you know, I know we've got more than 5 senses, and I don't want to go into that in too much detail because I'd run out of track very quickly. But we are experiencing the world through these senses and these, I'd call it like behavioural values, interpretations. You know, like one person looks at something, has one experience, another person looks at the same thing, has, you know, these are our unique perspectives. But even outside of those unique perspectives, there is what I would consider the reality of the situation, is how close can we get? You know, and I think music, like a lot of things, you know, is health, food, you know, growing food now is something that's really exciting me. Is getting closer and closer to authentic reality. And I think that's part of natural law. We're going to do more on natural law in the up and coming programs. And I think that's something that when you meet people, it doesn't take long to work out, are they interested in those sort of things? And I think that's what we're interested in, is what is the reality of it, and how can we best take care of ourselves and our loved ones and be of value to the people around us.
I think it's about getting back to the reason why we're here.
Now, Ayşe had a question for you earlier, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, Ralph, you've been such a big part of my journey and awakening me. Like back in the day on my Facebook, you were the only one who was talking about alternative media and different, you know, perspectives. And I remember back then there was all the Q stuff going on, and it was just you that I could get that information from. And it's like it ignites something in you, because you're waiting, you know, you're in such a negative situation, you're aware they're bombarding you, and it's like you want that light, that hope. And as I was saying, you know, where it's yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where there's such darkness, there's got to be so much light. It's just the law of the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Definitely.
that really made me believe, like, there's got to be good powers going on here. Yeah, we might not be seeing it because they don't want us to see it, but there is, you know.
Yeah.
And I was always on the same frame of mind as you, Ralph. I know Ed he feels a bit differently, and that's fine. But I mean, it's just a yearning for the truth, isn't it, really? Yeah. Like you said, and connecting back to why are we here? What are we here for? You know, because it's been kept from us. It's been hidden from us in so many ways, shape and form.
Yeah. And who am I? Who am I? Who am I really? You know, I am not this meat-covered skeleton, because once this meat-covered skeleton comes to the end of its usefulness and it passes on, the person that is Ralph, the spirit that is Ralph, is going to go on, and call it your soul if you want, or whatever you want to call it. The essence of who I am will go back to source, whether you want to call source God or Great Spirit or all that is, or Allah or Buddha, or they're all the same one, and they're all telling us the same thing. Be nice to each other, love each other, and everything will be good. And that's all that they've ever prophesied. Just be nice to each other. And we need to get back away from all this commercialism of food and drink and medication, and go back to what we're meant to be. And what are we? We are a life force living in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, Mother Nature, provides everything that we could ever want and need. And if we utilize it correctly, we will be healthy and we'll be happy. But Satan has put his fingers in there with the greed, with the money, and with all the other satanic things that we're seeing happening around us. And lots of people have succumbed either by blackmail or bribery or the offer of great wealth. They've sold their souls. And that's the battle that's going on now. It's the battle against good and evil. That's it in a nutshell. And we know that God has already won. It's just the actors and the players and the movie has got to play out. But in the end, God will win. Whatever happens, God will still win.
Lovely.
Anyway, we're getting
Thank
a bit
you, Ralf.
deep there.
No, I think we should go there. Right. So listen, I just want a message to our audience. If you like what we're doing, you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe to the channel, share it with others, give us some feedback. We also have a multi-network platform called Empowered Living North Cyprus. We have an Odyssey YouTube channel, and we have an Odyssey video channel and a YouTube channel. Pardon me. Anything else you want to go into before we kind of sign off, guys?
At this particular conjuncture, I'd like to talk about music again. Yeah. So as we were talking about how I got into bought my decks and my mixer, and I spoke to a few DJs. No DJ would tell you how to do it, because if a DJ told you how to do it, then anybody could be a DJ. But you've got to have that certain flair and a developed ear for the music. Nowadays, if you can count and you can keep tempo, you can be a DJ, because the machine will do everything for you. It's different on Technics 1210s, because you've got to adjust the pitch manually to get the beats in synchronization so that everything happens right. But with digital stuff, you put your track on, you press synchronize, and it's done for you. But there is still skill required, because you've got to choose the right tracks to mix into the one before. One thing you don't want to do is have someone singing and then you mix another track in that's got singing in and it crashes over the top, then it sounds horrendous. And there is skill involved, but not the same kind of skill of mixing two pieces of vinyl. So that's all I'd like to say.
But Ralf, don't you think this is happening in all sectors, really? You know, we are going more towards this artificial intelligence and digitalisation, and, you know, even in medicine, you know, robots are doing operations, you know, or, you know, over in China, they've got, you know, all the drones going around checking out and doing the policing and, you know, stuff like this, you know, it's just, I think it's in every sector, isn't it? Again, this is all to keep us from experiencing that. I mean, look how much of a passion you've got for DJing, you know, because you've actually really genuinely DJed. You've been there, you've done the mixing, you've done all that. That's what a proper DJ is, you know. Whereas, like you said, just pressing buttons and things, this is just like anybody can do it. So it's getting rid of the skill factor in all sectors, so that, you know, we're literally robots, aren't we? Basically,
automation. They want to automate us. They want to automate us.
And I think it's really important that we keep our skills, and, you know, we share with each other, so that people don't, you know, end up in this rut and think, oh, well, I better not show them how to do it because, you know, they'll take over. That's the wrong mentality, isn't it?
It is,
You know, we need to share all our skills, because it's the skills that make us human.
Yeah, definitely. We should be sharing. And we should be looking after each other.
It's the skills that make us human. Beautiful. Well put, Ayse. Well put. So listen, I'm gonna round up. I want to say thank you to Ralf. It's a pleasure having you on. There's so much we could talk about. We could have gone on for hours, but our format is just under an hour, so we've kind of we're topping out at the end of our show. Like I said, we've got our first meeting on Friday at the Dreams in Famagusta. The details are on the platform and on our Facebook page. Forgot about that. We've got a Facebook group now, Empowered Living North Cyprus, so you can find us there, checking what's going on. We've also got a lot of people I know that are not in North Cyprus, and we wanted to make the conversations of that kind of caliber and ideas that basically are global conversations, music, how we can have great lives, how we can make most of our experiences and contribute to others. Thanks, Ralf, for joining us. Ayse, always great to see you. Any last words before we go? See you later. No? Ayse?
See you later.
Love and peace out.
Love and peace out.
Peace out. Yeah.
See you next time. Bye.
See you soon, guys. Bye. Bye.
and cut.